All right, welcome to the Paydirt Football Show, and as you can see on the screen here, we've got a playoff game between the Arizona Cardinals and the Rams. This is from the PAFL, one of our Action PC football leagues. It is the division round of the playoffs, and that's just going to be playing in the background, and the reason is we just want to see how it's going to go. It's going to give us a general idea of what's going to happen between these teams. So anyway, we've got, I hear somebody moaning. We've got Jeff and Mike with us here tonight. And Mike, let's start with you on the state of the PFL right now. We just got through that rough patch where it just kept resetting after the draft. So give us a heads up on what's going
on. Everything looks to be solid. We got through our little glitch there. Sorry about that. I'm very excited. We got through the preseason. We're in preseason week 3, and everybody's played games. We've done edits. We've watched. I'm assuming everybody did their little things, their roster things, and so it seems like everything took, and we somehow outfoxed the glitch.
Good. Well, we've got one more week of the preseason, right? After this one's finished.
Yeah, we got this one. No, next week is a bye week. All that it is, it's going to be one day. Well, games are due Thursday, tomorrow at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I will sim it to week 4. Then everybody has to make their cuts by Friday at 9 p.m. And then we'll be in regular season.
I don't think I have any cuts to make. I can't afford any extra guys. I think I've already gotten rid of everyone that I can.
Well, it's more along the lines of, make sure your roster's filled with all the right players. All the positions are filled, that type of thing. You can actually go and find it on the Daddy's League website. Where the hell is it? There it is. You go to Daddy's League, you go to front office, and then you go to breakdown. And it'll break down all the positions for all the teams.
Right.
And, we have our what's needed and everything like that on the front pages. But, let's see where you the Rams, right?
So what season is this that we're going into in the PFL?
43.
43 seasons of running 2 seasons a year is over 20 years, and that's about right because we started in 2000 with the first version of Madden 2002. Was it that we started the PFL with? So we've been going through 2002, 2004, 2008. Were those the only 3 versions, I think?
Yeah, 2008 was the end. Yeah. I didn't play in 2002 or 2004. I actually joined when we were a FB Pro 198 league. So
I think we had a
then you
one
went into
version.
Madden 8.
Yeah, we had 2000 as well.
Yeah.
So it's been around for a while. So anyway, I guess everybody wants to know what's coming up with Madden 23, and quite frankly, who the hell knows? We don't know. They don't let much out, but we do know a few things about it. Madden 23, it's going to be a different experience with different platforms. In other words, PlayStation versus PC, old generation versus next generation. Some features are going to be missing from, let's say, the PC version, and you're going to know more about this than I do, Mike. The PC version is going to be missing a lot of the new additions that, let's say, PlayStation 5 has. Isn't that right?
Yeah, they do something called I don't know why or how they get away with this. It's actually kind of ridiculous. It's false advertising. They do a lesser version on PCs and PlayStation 4 and and Xbox 360 or whatever the Xbox is below the new one, and they get away with it. It's in this one. It's in Madden 22. It was in Madden 21. They have what they call next gen stuff, and they give better stats. They have better, the layout is different. It's actually more efficient. You can change your coaching options right on the play call screen. That's just stuff that I noticed. Obviously, there's probably other things. Plays actually work differently. Some plays don't work in regular gen, whatever you want to call us, that work in next gen. I mean, it's kind of really amazing that they have such a separation, but they do.
So far, the Rams are leading 7-0, and it looks like the tight ends are dominating for the Rams over there. Both are tight ends have catches. Now, here's the problem, and they don't want to. problem right now is going to be it's going to be difficult for anyone to get a PlayStation 5 per se, because the supply chain's broken and you just can't get them. You get online, you look for a PlayStation 5, they're usually out of stock. So at this time, it's going to be difficult for them to put new stuff in and have people buy that to experience the new editions anyway.
Yeah, it's a strange market they're going after. I guess it's that why they haven't, I don't know. To be honest, I guess it's all about technology. The PlayStation 5s are better than the PlayStation 4s, the technology-wise, so they could actually add more stuff to it. That's got to be what it is. Same thing on Xbox.
Well, that is
the weird thing is why don't they dump it onto PC? I guess because we're a port from the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation or the Xbox port, so that's why we have the lesser version, and they just don't really. We're not a big enough market share that they care.
Right. Let's see. Another thing here, they're stepping back with animations. The new style is going to be a hit everything approach, which lends itself to a more actual physics side of the game, more realistic tackles, things like that. The ones that we're having now in Madden 22 and I think 21 as well is based off animations. In other words, what they have is instead of 10,000 animations, they can cut that back to 2,000 or 3,000 animations with this hit everything approach.
Yeah, I don't trust them. They screw everything up. When they do a major wholesale like this sounds like it's going to be, I can't guarantee, but this game's going to blow.
We'll see. Have you heard about the... Yeah, well, I don't doubt it. I mean, if it can be screwed
up... It's got to
blow.
It really just has to. They're just that bad in there.
It must blow.
It must blow.
I mean... It might be good when you're playing it, you know what I mean, when you're doing the head-to-head controlling, but there'll be glitches all over. They won't have this game fixed till to Christmas at least.
Right. And, I mean, that's what happened with 2022. It was after Christmas, and we're still getting updates.
I mean, it's like, there was a few glitches, but the one thing that saves us with us being coach mode is we can't exploit those glitches, so in a way,
it's good.
We're a little protected from it or isolated from it, So that kind of helps us, but it was like the coaching option tree thing that they added for us, and the scouting thing. Like, who the hell cares in the way we do our stuff?
Right, and most people don't. They put this stuff in because it's easy to do.
Right.
It's just eye candy that is absolutely no reason to have it in there other than maybe a 10-year-old might enjoy it. For the older game.
It's for that single player that plays a franchise with maybe one or two friends, and they have their little it's like the guys that beat the computer 65,000 to nothing. They have their moments in the sun, but then they play online and they can't get 10 points. So this is where they get their fun, and that's all they're looking for. So
target passing, that is. How we've got
joy, a very big joy.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to affect us because we're coach mode, so it's not going to affect us. But how you have the wheel that fills up as you're kicking? Yeah. And then you've got the accuracy. You're going to have the same thing, and this is only if you're a joystick jockey, that is going to determine accuracy, strength, and whether it's a lob or if it's a bullet or whatever. And to me, it just sounds like more horse crap.
Well, the way I looked at it when I first read it and kind of thought about it was you're basically throwing ratings in the garbage. So why even have ratings? They won't matter because it'll all be about your jockey skills, your thumb jockey skills.
Right.
Ratings won't matter at all because you could take the worst quarterback and a 50 overall quarterback and he can play like Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, because the guy doesn't know what he's doing, can play like the worst quarterback.
Yeah, just that speed.
Yep.
Speed and whatever.
Right. It's a good idea for the thumb jockey leagues. It's making it more and more not a sim.
So we're still. What's your wish list? Let's get both of you guys to give your wish list for Madden 23. Let's start with you, Jeff. You've been quiet.
No, I don't. I like the current game. I like the current version. Anything that anything that would allow individual talents to matter. Individual player talents to matter is something I'm mostly. I didn't like, you guys know this, right? I didn't like the V19. I think where, it didn't really matter what the individual skill, like nobody really cared about defensive linemen or anything like that. And
Right.
I like it when every individual player and then the skills that they have, the skill sets they have matters.
Yeah, and every Madden before that, before Madden 22, it didn't matter what your defensive line looked like. It was all static.
Right.
I mean, maybe
right.
you could get it, or maybe you could get a guy that was really extremely fast on the edge, and he might blow past somebody. That would be the only hope. But other than that, it was all gimmicks or whatever, lining up the right play versus the right play.
Right.
Yeah. I've got several. I mean, true coach mode. I would love to see that.
Yeah, me too.
That does away with any possibility of anyone cheating in coach mode, and we don't have to make it mandatory, which I kind of like the thing that the PFL does with it's not mandatory to broadcast your games, but you get some points for doing it for your training camp, and that's something I've always wanted to do with the other leagues is add that system in so that it gives them a reason to broadcast.
I think the other thing is, at least on the defensive side, sometimes you call different formations when you get into the game. And we've all seen this where, the little circle, the little control circle is on a cornerback or an outside linebacker instead of, like, say, the nose tackle,
Right.
Consistently. And so, sometimes you forget it and, all of a sudden that corner doesn't move and the guy just blows by him for an 85-yard, touchdown.
Yep.
I don't know why that is, but it just seems like it doesn't focus. So that seems to me like that could be a relatively easy fix. I don't know why they do it the way they do it.
Yeah.
Crossplay. Go ahead, Mike.
No.
Crossplay between platforms, but I understand why they don't want to do that.
Right.
But I'd kind of like to see it done because with the PC you can edit the crap out of stuff, and you can't do that on the other platforms. So there you have one platform versus somebody that can edit the crap out of it, and I think they see a problem with that. But we're supposed to get crossplay soon.
They have it in FIFA.
Yeah, right.
In the soccer game.
Right. Well, soccer games a year ahead of us all the time.
And more money spent on their end. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bigger draw worldwide than football.
Right.
Reconnect.
Well, the other thing is they need to let which I have a suspicion they may be worried about stuff getting hijacked in some way. I don't really know, or maybe bugs or viruses. I don't really know. But the commissioners need to be able to have a little more leeway in how they tailor their leagues.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you got a dead weight owner, you need to get in there sometimes and do stuff for that team. You can't let a team go to crap. And a bad owner will let that team go to crap, and then you're stuck with a bad team because they'll quit.
I think they do it. They do it because they looked at it from the perspective of the one or two player leagues, and they didn't want that guy to have the ability. If you and 5 friends sat down and made a league, they didn't want that guy to be able to go in and cheat the other guys in the league, and that was the perspective.
Those commissioners won't last long.
Yeah, but they don't want it to last long anyway. They want you to buy the next game the next year.
Yeah, and mutt. They want you to.
Yeah.
Well, and that's but that's the key, guys. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is that the true nature of Madden every year, right? Is the new ratings, all the play. They have the big show with all. What was your rating? They actually interview the players themselves, and the guy might say, I think I should be the 5th highest or whatever,
Right.
and so Mike's right. I mean, the idea is to have you constantly buy the new product every single year. And obviously leagues like ours don't do that. Right. And if it's a static league, like if the owners stay in that league, they're not selling anything. They don't like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've talked about before how mutt, that's their big cash.
Yeah, that's
cow.
the money. Yep.
So, has anybody heard of Maximum Football?
No.
I briefly watched a few things about it. I didn't like the overall product at the time, but this was 2019 or so.
Okay, that has been bought out by Modus Games, and the new version, and I've got some graphics up here later. The new version is going to be using the Unreal 5 graphics engine.
Okay.
Unreal 5, that's a hell of a graphics engine.
Yeah.
And this game, if it's on Steam, if you go to Steam and look for Maximum Football, you'll find that there's several different versions of it on there from like 2017, 18, 19, 20. Well, there's going to be a 22 version that this new company has bought this away from them, and they're working on it. And one of the problems that I saw with Maximum in the past is that it didn't have multiplayer. Not supposed to have multiplayer this time. Supposed to. We'll see, because multiplayer is a hard thing to add and get to work properly. But the graphics are going to be a lot better, and it is always, no one has ever disputed the fact that they've got the deepest franchise mode of any football game out there. So we'll see.
Are you in the process of destroying the PFL?
No.
He likes to.
No, but we should always keep our eyes. Hey, I want Mike to fail.
You're a Democrat.
So
no, you'll do that all on your own. Don't worry.
Hey, I can fail on my own. I don't need Mike to help me.
So nobody needs any help.
Me.
That's right.
So
it's kind of true. Have you noticed that? Like, he always seems like you need help to succeed, but you pretty much fail on your own.
I can fail on my own, yes.
Yeah, everybody does that.
So here's what they say. It's a sandbox-style game, and I looked this up. What the hell? I mean, I kind of know what a sandbox is, but I looked it up. It's a style of game in which minimal character limitations are placed on the gamer, allowing the gamer to roam and change the virtual world at will. In contrast to a progression-style game, a sandbox game emphasizes roaming and allows a gamer to select tasks instead of featuring segmented areas or numbered levels. A sandbox game usually occurs in a world.
Yeah, I play solo Civil War games and stuff, like a Gettysburg or something like that, and they have sandbox levels.
There's lots of other survival games,
It's kind of typical of those.
Scenarios. Those games are great to play for like a Dungeons and Dragons type game, where you don't have to go from one point to the next point to the next point.
I used to play one of those, and right now I've got one loaded that I haven't played for a while, and you would think it's a zombie game because it's called Dead Lands or something like that. But it's just a game where you go out there and you find your stuff, get better weapons and stuff like that, and try not to get killed because everyone will kill you.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, it used to be that this football game here, Maximum Football, didn't have multiplayer. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to with the new. They say it is. And even if it doesn't, I can't remember if there's local multiplayer on the other. And now there's that local multiplayer. You can play a game. Let's say Old Football Pro, for example. Mike, you're familiar with the Old Football Pro games, okay?
Yeah.
You can't play those things online head-to-head because it's crap. However, there is local multiplayer. And what that does, it's a ramped-up version of desktop share. You know what I mean? Only one person has to own the game. When you log on, if it uses a joystick, you just get your joystick. You'll log on using a program, and there's programs out there. You can go to paydirdfootball.com and find that program. Parsec, I think, is one of them. And Steam also has local multiplayer. But you can just log on to your opponent who does have the game and play as if you're sitting at the computer, playing the game with them as the second person, only you're miles away, wherever you might be. Or maybe you're in the woods watching them through the window.
With a sniper rifle.
Yeah, with a sniper rifle. Because you're lost in a sandbox world. So we'll see. I mean, it shows promise if this new company is really serious about what they're doing with it.
I mean, you remember Football Pro. It was an excellent strategic game. I mean, we all got boxed into the same thing that always happens, because once a game, like, it was 98 and we were still playing it in 2004. So,
yeah.
You get boxed into the same plays, even though you can create your own plays. That was what was awesome about it, was you can actually assign offensive linemen how and where to block and where to pull, and
you could
all
build
kinds of great stuff.
Yeah, you built your plays
really
from scratch.
Yeah.
And I remember one in particular. The only one that I remember the name of was Big Hurt. Do you remember Big Hurt?
Yes.
Big Hurt was everybody blitzes.
Yep.
And you either sacked them or they got away from you.
It was a touchdown. You had to read it was coming, but that was what was great about it, was like, you couldn't tell based on the players on the field what anybody was doing. There was no reading the defense in this version, because they could do whatever they wanted. It was kind of cool.
Now, there's another football game that's getting ready to come out, and that's 2K Sports' NFL game. And it's coming back.
That's supposed to be an arcade type game.
It is, but now I'm hearing rumors that they're going to want to go simulation.
Oh.
So they may actually have two versions of the game in the same game. I don't know how they're going to work that because they don't have the license to go simulation with players. But they can do it without actual NFL players.
Again, we can edit the players to the right names. I mean, what's the difference? And
2K5 and 2K8 was the last version, and most people still hold true that was the most realistic football game that's ever been created.
Yeah, it was good. It had its faults once we mastered it, but we got it down.
Yeah, but there was no multiplayer.
Yeah.
But that's not Madden, That's the what was?
Oh, the 2K games. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, the NFL 2K8 was the last one. And they had stopped for a couple of years. I think it went to 2005. Then they stopped, and then they put a version out in 2008, and that was the last you heard from them. But it didn't have multiplayer in 2008. I think 2005 did. But they've been delayed. They were supposed to come out this year, and I guess COVID and all that crap.
Yep, had a lot of time sitting staring at the computer screen for the last 2 years.
That's right. Let's see here. What else do we have on the docket? Football game, and this is 2. That's 3. We're done that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick pause here, and when we come back, we will talk about the NFL some, unless you want to talk about the leagues a little more. Whatever you want to do.
Are you an NFL freak? Do you like sports gaming? If so, visit us at PayDirtFootball.com. We've got the latest NFL news and gaming leagues. If you're into great graphics and great competition, sign up for our Coach Mode Madden NFL League. Online since 2000, the PFL is the longest running and most professionally run football league in the world. If it's the thinking man's football game you want, our Action PC Football League is the league for you. Less graphics, more realistic, and that translates to more fun. So check us out at PayDirtFootball.com and join one of our leagues. They're free. Or just stop by for the latest NFL news. In any case, we'll see you at PayDirtFootball.com.
All right, we're back. And let's see, Jeff, how familiar are you with... well, let's get to the Cowboys later. Let's talk about the NFL. And I was looking... Did anybody see anything of interest going on in the NFL right now?
The thing is, they got, it does tend to be a little bit of a quiet period because the draft is over now. So there is a little bit of a lull. You might get some unrestricted free agents that didn't get drafted that might get signed. You might have some players get released. I know that the Cowboys released, I think, their fullback today, for example. But the thing was, I don't know if you guys remember, but I think when the last show. We were discussing the draft, and I'm pretty sure I told everybody that the quarterback class was awful in this draft.
Well, yeah, you saw what happened too.
What bothers me about what happened in this draft this year, and I don't mean to just sort of segue into this discussion, but is all of the pundits, the experts, right, the Mel Kipers of the world, they had all these quarterbacks going right in the top 10. And one went, at 20? Others went in the 3rd, 4th round. These quarterbacks are not good. And, they were way off. I don't know where they're getting their information from. But what bothers me now is now the draft is over, we're now supposed to listen to these same guys and analyzing, like, which team had a good draft and which team didn't. And I'm like, your credibility is shot. I don't listen to those people. They've lost a lot of credibility with me on this last draft.
Wow.
Yeah, this was a weird draft with
it really was.
No, defensive players going top 5, and
the defensive ends went right away.
Yeah, and then first offensive player was 6, and that was that offensive tackle of the Panthers, and then the Giants went good, and
they were even talking about don't you remember? They were all talking about and it's kind of funny. I mean, I don't mean to. But, we do this in the PFL, too. It's like everybody's talking about the wide receivers and the quarterbacks and wide receivers. No. Right? It was defensive ends. It was offensive linemen. The receivers are okay in this draft. There were a lot of them. But I don't think that there was a lot of superstar receivers, and quarterback I just thought was horrendous this year. I didn't even think the running back position was all that great either, by the way. But it's just one of those drafts, where you just don't have a lot of really good, skilled players coming into the league. Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah. I'm going to walk away for just a second. Who did best in the draft? I guess, Jeff, you're probably up to on that more than me or Mike. Who did best in the draft?
It would be simple to say somebody like the Eagles and a couple teams like that. A couple, that
Jets.
Seemingly the Jets. Yeah, I think the Jets did have a pretty good draft, by the way. But I'm not sure about the values of the players that got taken in this draft, to be honest with you, and then how they're going to be used. A lot of these guys that got drafted they're not even the type. They're not necessarily even 3-down players. They might, and so and how they're going to get used in different systems, you don't really know. So, I mean, I just think it was one of those years where I don't say teams were reaching, but I'm not so sure that teams really had a real firm grip on the values of what they were taking this year. So I don't really know. I guess you could say the Eagles. The Jets, I was impressed with the Jets draft, to be honest with you there.
Yeah, the Jets took that DB. Was he good? I don't know. I didn't. I never bother with defensive players.
DBs are so hard to evaluate.
Yeah, his name was Sauce.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this. Now, this is going to sound really bad, and this is just borders on stupidity in a lot of ways. But I've always been leery of guys coming out of college who have a nickname already.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just remember the Boz?
Yes. He lasted all
the Boz. And it was and if you remember, he was the second coming of the Messiah.
Yeah.
And was just horrendous.
Wait a minute.
I don't know about this Sauce guy.
Was he the one that met up with what's his name from the Raiders?
Yes.
And he got cold cocked.
Bo ran him over.
Yes, Bo ran him over. And that was the last you heard about the Boz.
He gets right. He got bowed. So. Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. I think DBs in corners with the rules of today's game compared to what goes on in college, it's really hard to evaluate these guys. I mean, the pro game is, man, I don't know. Now, the other thing I will say, not to get onto the Cowboys all that much, it's kind of just general NFL rules, is I loved listening to the story about how Jed Jones had in-depth interviews with this Sam, call me D. Williams guy, right?
Right.
And I'm like, and he's comfortable with it. I've had a lot of, I'm comfortable with the young man and this, that, and the other thing. And maybe he works out. I hope he does. But he had to have had the same conversations with Kelvin, with our boy Kelvin, right?
Yes, and he shot people.
And he kills people. So, I mean,
on the
how good was that? How good was that conversation? I mean, that's what I'm saying is I don't trust anybody in the NFL. I'm not sure exactly what these teams do to evaluate their they have these top 30 now visits, where you bring guys in for private workouts and stuff. I don't know who the heck.
Yeah, you're talking about Jerry Jones. This is the same guy that threw the draft sheet up for everybody to take a screenshot of. So.
Well, Steven had to, Steven had to tackle him.
Right.
Because he was like, put that down. It's like, oh my God.
That's kind of the same thing he did when Jerry Jones was running out with the Manziel. What was his name? Johnny Manziel card to draft him, and Steven said, "Hell's to the no."
They're gonna have to get some light powered taser to keep him in line. I think going forward, he's clearly getting on, and he, it's quite possible. It's just like a lot of older people I'm getting. I mean, they do start falling out of the rhythm of the technology and stuff, and has to understand that people are, you can't do stuff like this. So oh my goodness.
Let me run through this score here real quick on this PAFL game because we're going to switch away from it.
It is ugly.
We're going to go watch Heidi.
Is 2 people playing, or is this just a sim?
No, it's a sim, and the Rams are winning right now, 41-10. And let's see.
Is that still Maine's team? Is that Kenny Maine's team?
Yeah. He's won 2 Super Bowls in a row. He was the first.
We hate Kenny.
He was the Kenny. Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
We could do that.
He was the first PAFL coach to win 2 in a row. And
he went undefeated. He also went undefeated.
Went undefeated 1 year. So he's really built him a team, and he built a team that's not going to go away quickly.
Yes, it is.
It is? Really?
Yeah, he's got. What has allowed his team to be so well. I can say this now that I'm in the league. He was very fortunate, which a lot of us are not, that a lot of his skilled players never get hurt.
Right.
And they just stayed really at a high level for a long, long time. I mean, it's got Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Whereas, who's the Packers?
Yeah.
I think it had Dak Prescott. He got hurt. If your quarterback goes down and gets hurt,
Right.
you don't really have a quarterback. That's never happened for him. So every year he's always had an elite quarterback. Of his running backs and stuff are always been really good. They don't get hurt. They play all 16 games, and that's kind of somebody in the league. It just happened to be him. Look, it's to his credit. He did trade for the guy, so you can't take that away from him. But when Brady goes, then we'll have to see what he does there.
Yeah, you see with me, it's exactly the opposite. When I get a player, it's kind of like they're on the Madden cover of the PAFL Action PC Football League. Bad stuff's going to happen. Yeah, they're doomed. As soon as I get them, I got Michael Thomas.
You have had some bad luck.
Every one of mine does. I got Michael Thomas a few years back in that league.
You blew right up.
He's done.
Yeah.
He's done. And that's just one example. He caught 100 and some passes, like 2 seasons in a row. He was up there at 90-something and 100-something, and then boom, he's done.
Yeah, and you can't cover that. That's the whole thing. It's really hard to cover that with your team. I mean, it's just no way that you can get that value.
Right.
That game gets, how PAFL works.
Sure.
But he's had a really great run. Like the Cardinals, I think the game, if they're playing, will be closer than this sim here.
I would hope.
But the Cardinals, that was the team that kind of drove me a little crazy when and the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm assuming they're probably still playing, those teams because they're just, basically 5 wide receivers and a quarterback and throw the ball 50, 60 times.
Well, what I'm seeing right here, it's wide receiver Adams and Kelsey that's just tearing them a new rear end here because Kelsey's got 11 catches for 236 yards. So he's had a couple just break wide open. And Adams has 9.
Yeah, the sim does that though. I don't know why. Like I've done sims before, and it lopsides stats like that.
So we're gonna step away from this and watch Heidi, like they did. Remember the first Super Bowl?
It was the Raiders and somebody.
Raiders they broke away to watch Heidi, and they came back and won. So here we go. We're gonna step away from that. Let's see. International games this year in the NFL. We have 5.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with all that.
I don't know.
I don't understand that one at all.
No, I don't.
I just.
Who drew this?
You want to make them preseason games? Okay, I'm okay with that. But this stuff, I mean.
But but during the draft, did you see some of that? What's going on with the draft? I mean, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, the only people watching the draft are draft geeks, right? Like
right.
Football fans. Right. Do you really want to watch there was some guy doing like a Daredevil trick, and then they had some. Like, what's going on with that? Like, I don't want to be entertained.
You're not entertained?
No, I don't know. I just want them to go up there and the pick is in, and they pick John. Okay, next.
He doesn't want to be Maximus. He wants to be Caligula.
Yeah, Caligula. Yeah. Well, I mean, they had
the Blue Man Group doing stuff.
Yeah, they had people doing stuff, and then they had the guy in London or what it was. It was like saying the game is going to be here. He actually did it was something like one of these 5th round pick things, and he was like, they were supposed to be playing some game there. I think it was I think he might have been representing the Steelers, and he was like in Europe or something on some soccer field that they're supposed to play in this year, and he announced the pick from there. I mean, I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't care.
That's what it is.
It's awful.
It's so.
My God. Like, you really think that your wife, or not to be sound sexist here, but like you have. Let me back off of that one.
You do.
Yeah, you've got somebody sitting next to you who doesn't even know the rules of football, but they might be interested in watching.
That's what it is. If you have no interest in the game of football, and you going to? You have to be into football to watch football. Right. Because you don't, it's like baseball. You don't understand the rules of baseball. Baseball can put you to sleep.
I love baseball.
If it were not for football,
I love it too. I'm just saying, it's not like these things are jumping out at you and you're like, wow, that's amazing. I mean, like they've done this. They knocked down the whole NFL game from 3.5, 4 hours into a 35-minute tape when they knock out all the commercials and all the BS. Yeah. So there's like 35 minutes of actual action. Spread over 3 hours. I mean,
a lot of drinking going on. Gambling.
Yeah, so it's either you're drinking or you're into it, and if you're into it, then it's worth doing. But you're not going to catch new fans that way. It's just, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like trying to do a cigarette ads to somebody who's 63 years old who's never smoked.
Right.
Yeah, so let's look at the games that's going to be played overseas and real quick here and determine what their inspiration for doing so was. Did they volunteer? Did they draw the short straw? I don't know.
They couldn't have volunteered.
got
Did you lose the home game?
Yeah, we've got one, the Vikings and Saints.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's in London, and that's a useless game. You got the Vikings who just do the same thing every year. They never suck, but they're never going anywhere. And the Saints, well, they're not going to do anything since Drew Brees retired, so I can understand that. Giants and Packers, I don't understand why the Packers would want to play over there.
Where is that game?
That's in London. Yep.
That's actually a waste of a good market game.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. I mean,
if they do it early in the season and the Giants, depends on how the Giants do and how the Packers do. I think the Packers have. I think the mask has been taken off. The Band-Aid's been taken off Green Bay, which I've been saying for a long time about them. Everybody's like, oh, every year, right? They're going to the Super Bowl. No, they're not. They're not going to the Super Bowl. Or they have home field advantage. I don't care. They lose in Lambeau every single year.
Yeah, the Magic's
and
gone.
They will this year too.
Magic's gone.
They will this year too.
Now the next game, I can understand this one. It's the Broncos and Jags. The Jags have been bucking to move to London for 10 years. So.
Well, maybe they will. Maybe it'll be a one-way ticket for the team.
Maybe. And it's always in Wembley Station.
The Jags.
Stadium, sorry. Yeah. Here's one I don't understand for the Buccaneers. Seahawks at Bucks. I can understand the Seahawks because their quarterback's gone. Buccaneers.
Where's that game?
That's in Germany.
Yeah, it's in Germany. Yep. Munich.
So Seattle is going directly over the North Pole or something? I mean, that's like a 75-hour trip.
Well, they can walk. It just turns to snow is all. It's always raining in Seattle. It's always snowing when you get across the other side.
Oh, God, Germany. Okay. Well, a lot of the military people over there, Americans, could go to that, I guess.
Well, I guess they'll have an East Coast game the week before, so.
I mean, if you're in Germany, right, and you have like a holding penalty, like is it translated into German? Is it like "Ich bin Schnagendog"? I mean, Nummer. I mean, is it in English or what?
I don't know. Cardinals are starting to come back 24-44. There's 47 seconds left, but they've come back 24-44. Let's see. After that, the last one is 49ers and Cardinals. That's Mexico City. Blancos, Camicos.
That'll have that's a reasonable game.
Well, because of the Cardinals, really, yeah, and the 49ers, both those. Well, yeah, the Cowboys are very, very popular down there.
Yeah, they don't need to do that with that. See, Dallas, we've talked about this before. Dallas is its own business, its own entity. They already have enough crazy things. You don't need to be sending them to Mexico.
No, they don't.
No, their schedule is always ridiculous. They do it themselves, but it's it's what it is. We still got Dalton? Oh, it's the last year for Dalton Schultz.
For Schultz? Yeah, we still got
Schultz.
it. We let Jarwin go.
Franchised.
Yeah, we franchised a tight end. And and then I think we drafted a tight end. I think we have 4 tight ends coming into. We got McKeon, the blocking guy, I forgot his name, and then the rookie, and then Schultze.
Yeah, Schultz.
Yeah, supposedly a good tight end.
Yeah,
in
not bad
draft, right? Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, he'll be all right. I mean,
what's yours? What both you guys? What's your opinions on Tyler Smith, that tackle we got in the draft? Cowboys did.
I really like him, but what happens is, I don't mean to cut you off there, Mike. But I mean, what happens to me is he's not ready, right? Like, and no, unless the guy was like super elite, like a really good left tackle.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to be ready. We were not going to get that drafting this far down in the draft. So, and Tyron Smith is long overdue to go. So what we're going to do now, right, is he's going to end up coming in. And like I think you said, he's going to play left guard, which is not. So did you draft him to play left guard? No, we drafted him to be our future left tackle. Then why is he playing left guard? Well, he'll start at left guard and then he'll go to left tackle. Oh, okay. When?
Right.
Because whenever you put him at left tackle, it's going to be like the first time he's played left tackle. I don't care when you do that, right? So what's the difference?
Yeah, he's going to be left tackle when Leonard Smith dies.
Tyron Smith.
Sorry. Leonard
Skinner.
No, it's Tyron Smith. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Tyron Smith and
Zach Martin. Who was Leonard?
Leonard Smith, I think, wasn't he a defensive end or something? I don't know.
Can't remember. Yeah, maybe.
But I mean, Tyron Smith they should have done this. We talked about they should have done this 2 years ago, right? You draft this type of player and you put him in at left guard if that's what you wanted to do. And then as we get to this stage, you would have played more left tackle at this point. You'd be ready for the transition. But what we all know is going to happen is Tyron Smith's going to go down after like game 3.
Yeah.
And we're going to get stuck with a guy at left tackle who's not ready.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen. You can see it coming already.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
It's a good draft pick. I just don't like the way we've gone about doing this.
What could we have gotten at left guard? Could we got a better guard?
The one we wanted was gone.
Right. Yeah. In fact, I think he got picked like just a couple before. We had a couple like that where one of the guards went right before, which I was really hoping we'd get, and we didn't. Then we had a guy later on. I forgot who the heck it was. I was like, man, and I think it was like literally 2 picks before us, and they took him as well. So we missed out on that. What are you going to do? The draft, nobody's caring about the Dallas Cowboys. They did this to themselves, right? I mean, we did this to ourselves. Yeah. You didn't know that players might leave. You were shocked that some of these players actually left the Dallas Cowboys to go somewhere else. Stunned. It's like you didn't realize that could happen, right. And like the Randy Gregory thing. What did that do to us? It seemed like we got caught, right? Like, oh, we can't. We messed this all up. And Gregory's like, I'm not staying here. I'm out of here.
Yeah, we got caught with our pants down. That's what it was.
Yes, we did. And so now that starts dictating your draft. And, sometimes you're just not ready, or the draft in this particular case isn't that strong. You're drafting down and you're way down because you had a good season the year before, and you're just not ready for that. To me, if you're a GM or an owner of that's part of your job. You've got to sit home. What do you do for 8, 10, 20 hours a day? If you're the GM, you better have like plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, you know what I mean? A bazillion possibilities could happen. The guy could just retire, right? A guy could just wake up and say, hey, was it Rondé Barber or whoever it was? And just wake up, or, some of these players just wake up. Yeah, right. Things happen. Things just happen. You have to have contingency plans for everything. I mean, that's what you do for a living. They're not sitting around in front of computers like us, with Madden football. This is like, you better have for every player, all your
they have a life.
The possibility.
Well, they have a life.
They make a lot lot of money doing
but they're
it.
Getting paid to do this.
Yeah, right. They get a lot of money to do it.
I mean, I know you're retired, but they don't have to go to work. This is their work,
Right. It's like the offensive, like the genius, like Mike calls the genius there that we've got, that nobody wanted to hire as a head coach. I mean, it's like, what do you do when you get up in the morning? You get a cup of coffee, right? Take, he probably has maybe a donut or something. I don't really know. Gets together with his staff. And what do you do if you're an offensive coordinator? You sit down on a piece of paper and you draw plays. Thousands and thousands of them.
Yeah.
Thousands of them, right? That's what you do. It's like, oh, well, he's not a very imaginative. I'm like, how could you be an offensive coordinator in the NFL and not be imaginative? It's like being an artist, but you can't draw.
He was stuck in the past.
Break.
You're talking about the redheaded stepchild, right?
I didn't even want to bring him up, but
Yeah. He was stuck in the past.
Through an episode without it.
He would have been a good coach in the 90s.
Yeah, you're wrong. You're right. Well, but that has a lot to do with who's running our organization, who's running running these organizations, because some of these people are kind of locked into the 90s.
Yeah.
So they're going to be. I mean, it's just like the rest of us. People tend to be or want to be what makes them comfortable and what's made them successful in the past. When you're successful, and then somebody says, "Hey, that was nice, but what can you do for me? What have you done for me lately?" A lot of people are like, "Well, I don't really want to step out there. I've never done that before." They don't evolve. And sometimes that can happen to your ownership, because I think it's what happened with, who was the Raider guy that passed away? Was it Al Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jerry Jones is Al Davis now.
Well, he's Al Davis wannabe, yes.
Yeah, so, even worse. Right?
Yeah,
so
right. That's even worse.
And so that's what I think can happen. You just the game. There's a time where you got to hand the baton off and let some more progressive people handle this stuff.
Well, the game has changed, and the game has
enormously
changed because they've added teams. It's just that simple.
And the rules have changed.
Rules have changed, right. And there's more teams, which has watered down the talent. Back in the 90s, before they added just the last 2 teams, Jacksonville and Carolina, was it? Were they the last 2? That was 2 less teams. That was two teams worth of talent that was going on other teams. And back in the 90s, up until the end of the 90s, there were teams out there that could just pound the ball and just beat you that way. Dallas was one. Redskins was another one. And 49ers, there were 4 or 5. So, and everybody was thinking, well, that's the style of gameplay we need to copy. We need to run the ball because that's how we're going to beat them. It's a safe way to win. And, if you got the power to do it, it's great. But now, there are no super teams like there were then. These teams that are out now, as flashy as they are.
Not even close.
They would not beat those 90 teams.
No, and they might have maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 guys who may eventually get in the Hall of Fame, where the teams from years ago, a lot of those players would be in the Hall of Fame because they dominated the league for so long.
Yeah.
Even the contracts, they didn't bounce around. Free agency wasn't as wild as it is now. So, it's really changed. But, not only that, it's like, a lot of guys don't even want to be running backs anymore. They want to be wide receivers.
Well, there's no real good running backs out there anyway.
They don't want to be that. It's like, what? Look, I'm a tremendous athlete. I'm O.J. Simpson, and you look at an O.J. Simpson and you go, before you want to kill things, and then it's like, if you see O.J. Simpson or an unbelievable, Walter Payton. If Walter Payton was around today, he'd probably go, I don't want to be a running back. I want to be a wide receiver.
Right.
You put me a wide receiver, I'll make millions of dollars, and I want to play with a great quarterback.
And Emmitt Smith may have gone in the 4th or 5th round,
Sure.
I mean,
sure. I don't even know if he would have got drafted.
Right. There's a difference in your belief in yourself when you go in the 1st round compared to a 4th or 5th round.
Absolutely.
And
just how players perceive you, right?
And how they perceive themselves.
Right.
Yes,
and that's important.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just like this guy Willis. I mean, he might be happy to be maybe somebody he may or may not turn out to be, the next Tom Brady or the next, story. But now you get drafted in the 3rd or 4th round. As a quarterback, it's going to be Well,
I mean, the reason why I was like, well, normally one or 2 guys go in the 1st round, maybe not right like it has been happening where the big all the quarterbacks go early and
the Trevor Lawrences and whatnot, right?
And they overpay big time,
right?
I mean, like the Bears trading up to get what's his name, their quarterback, not Fields, the other guy before him,
Trubisky.
Yeah, Trubisky.
Right.
I mean, that they traded not a lot, but a decent amount they gave away a 1st and players. So,
right.
And the guy didn't even cut it. Never was. It was just like, what are you looking at? What are you not seeing? I mean, I don't know how they get these things so wrong, and they're paid to do this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I was getting at. This last draft, they had all these quarterbacks and stuff. These are Mel Kipers and those guys that are up there, and they were clueless. They weren't even close on the draft. They weren't even close.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the way they perceive that drafts are going to go. They always perceive that such and such player goes here.
Right, and that's like a domino effect.
Right, and because of that, the fact that these quarterbacks fell just screwed up so many different things. Out. It definitely, like unlike in the PFL where all the quarterbacks went at the beginning and allowed talent to drop down to, the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys.
Right. Asshole. The only good thing is that when we get this new season done in PFL, we hopefully, if he wins the second one, Len, like if he wins again, oh man. But hopefully at the end of the season, that will not have happened, and we won't have to listen to that anymore. No, the PFL, look, you're jumping subjects again there, but, the PFL is a really tough league to win a championship.
Well, maybe next time it'll be Wiggy. Wiggy almost got there.
He almost did.
He was in it.
He got there.
Yep, he got there. Exactly, just getting there, and so it's a pretty tough thing to do, and so, you should be proud of that. It's a tough league to win in.
Mike Goodman? Hey, how about Mike?
Yeah, screw Mike.
Jim Hatsis ain't won one in a long time.
And he ain't ever going to win another one. He couldn't win the last year's team. Jim will never win again. I mean, my God, how much talent not win. Did you hear me, Jim?
Wow. Clothes are off.
Oh, no, it's just, having a little fun.
And I know we switched gears, but the PFL has The AFC has a lot of talented coaches.
Yeah, really. Weren't you a little surprised, Mike, when I was telling you about that the Titans roster and the teams I was talking about?
I was like,
yeah, then you went and looked, you're like, oh my God, I know. These
it
got
just keeps
loaded.
going.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. And I didn't, until I started doing those little write-up things, like, I then you start going into, you really kind of go into depth on the teams. And, and I started doing this team, and I'm like, holy God, he doesn't have a weak player anywhere.
What team's this?
Tennessee, man, their roster is loaded.
How do they afford that?
Well, he got Gallup pretty cheaply, I think.
He doesn't have any big
superstars.
He doesn't have any big, super expensive players.
Oh, right? They don't have any $30 million.
Well, he still has he's got Tannehill at quarterback, so that helps.
Yeah. Now, segueing back to the NFL, do you see Tannehill was in a dark place after the loss?
He was in a dark place. He is in a dark place.
he needed therapy.
Well, they did.
He did. He saw it somewhere. I was watching. I needed therapy. Really needed therapy to get me out of that.
That's the guy we're going into. What you guys disagree with me on that, but I
see that picture up there. See that picture up there now? That's an actual screenshot from the new Maximum Football. The one that's showing now.
Yeah, Modus. I was doing some research while you mentioned. I guess it's Modus, something becoming Modus company. Yeah, I don't know, but remember, who was the guy who was with the Patriots? Everyone got all over me because they said I was an old guy and that young people don't mind, and he was like dressing up in the banana suits and stuff with the funky hair. Who was that guy? Was it was Cam Newton, right? It was Cam Newton, yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, the general of your team, you don't want a guy running your football team when he's going, I got to go to therapy.
No,
I'm not really following you. You're like, you can't even get your own brain together. You want me to follow you? And if he
goes, I don't have to mentor the new Willis.
He said it wasn't his job to mentor. He didn't think it was his job.
Well,
it's not. It's not his job to mentor these guys. That's ridiculous. It's like, you draft. Look, and a lot of people disagree with that, but it's like you drafted this guy to come to this organization, right? To possibly replace me, and you now want me to train him for you so he can take my place.
Does he even have a job now?
Tannehill?
No. Newton?
No. Good grief, no.
Hopefully not. I think he's still on Carolina, actually.
Actually still on the roster?
He might still be. He might be right with that one. But that's that's a done deal there. Oh, man.
They got whatever. They got Darnold, and then they drafted a guy. And I guess Cam's there if there's
They'll give Darnold another shot. I mean,
they got it.
Who's he with?
They
now?
do, and then they'll move on from him if they have to. I think that's what they're doing. They have to be. Again, I think that was smart on their part because there's a case where they are. If Darnold pans out, right, they've got this backup guy that they could probably trade and probably get that value back. Right. And if Darnold, they're ahead of the game. They're ahead of the curve. And I just think Dallas gets caught when the curve's already past them. And it's
the one thing that didn't make any sense in recent drafts was the 49ers going cuckoo crazy to get the Trey Lance, right?
Right.
I mean, they gave up 3 number ones or something like that.
Right, yeah, went all the way out.
I mean,
and now what have they done?
And then, they didn't even use him. And I was like, well, and then they were questioning it as the season goes along, if you read between the lines. They're like, well, we kind of made a mistake. Garoppolo was better.
Well, part of the problem I think with San Francisco, again, it's the old genius thing, right? Because you've got Shanahan runs the show there. Isn't that who runs the show there offensively? Yep. Okay. And he designs plays for Deebo Samuel and all these different things. And he's that type of guy. He's a guy who draws a bazillion. It's like the guy with the Chiefs, Andy Reid. They sit around and draw a bazillion plays, and they go, "Hey, man, let's try this rule." And they, and they're really smart at what they do. But the reason why they've been successful as geniuses, though, or being perceived that way, is that they take teams that have less talent and turn chicken, to chicken soup, right? Chicken salad. So when you start actually getting like good players,
my wife does that the other way around. My wife does that the other way around.
What is she? Well, you should have checked into that before you got married. Oh my God. And, you kind of get married and you find out your wife's not into oral sex. This is not going to last. Oh boy. Anyway, I shouldn't have said that.
It's worse when you find out that your best friend is.
Yes.
Oh my God, this show is going down.
Well, I told Len I threw my back out, so I'm taking all these painkillers, and it's probably affecting my mental state.
Have a beer with it, Jeff. You'll have a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
have a couple of beers. I'll be ready to roll.
What? How did you throw your back out?
That's what Len asked. I
Oral
don't
sex.
know.
You're moving the controller or picking it up?
I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. I just woke up and, oh my goodness, is my back killing me.
You slipped the disc?
I don't know. It's not right too bad right at the moment. It's painful, but not as bad as it's been. So I don't really know. Yeah, probably something blew up back there. So what else is new? We had a heat to go yesterday. The air conditioning in my mother-in-law's place was down. She was actually going to sleep in here. I said, no, that's not happening.
Check that, fans.
No, I'll open every window in the house. I don't care. That's not going on.
It's still cool up here at night. So you're in North Carolina, so it's a little different down there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's been warm. We had big storms here tonight. It was really.
We had
it's
big
been like
storms
90
last night.
degrees the last few days here.
Yeah, last night we had heavy rain and lots of lightning.
Yeah, we got that tonight. So we're starting to get that now. You start getting that's typical. Like summertime, it gets 90, 95, and then you get a storm almost every evening.
Yeah.
Mike's the opposite. He's up around northern New York. So.
No, where are you at, Mike? Are you? I can't think. Are you in Westchester County?
I'm right at the edge of Westchester County and Putnam.
On Putnam. So you're like that's the northern part of the county, right?
Yeah.
And you got like Albany up that way.
Yeah, I'm close to the Hudson River.
Yeah.
I'm like maybe.
How far away from Poughkeepsie?
I am 40 minutes south of Poughkeepsie.
When I was a kid, I used to always get dragged to Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. Poughkeepsie's a nice big town now. They got all the malls and stuff like that.
My uncle ran a mental institution up there, and he had like this place on the side of a golf course, and he used to drag me up there when I was like 5 years old.
Really?
The only thing that was moving was kind of like mentally ill people and squirrels.
My uncle was in a mental institution up there.
Explains a lot. Explains a lot, Jeff.
I'm not sure if Len was just just felt like he needed to disclose that, or if he was bragging about. I'm not really sure what that was right there. Most people don't do things like that. Yeah, my cousin killed everybody in Missouri. No.
Why'd you kill everybody in that house? Because it was home.
God, crazy. There's world's full of crazy people. You see what happened to the comedian last night? What's his name? Oh, good grief.
Chappelle.
Yeah, Chappelle. Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, he got tackled by some lunatic.
Yeah. The guy had a fake gun that had a real
guy
knife inside.
Well, it had a knife on it, though, I think.
Crazy,
Yeah, they had a
man.
fake
People
gun.
are nuts. Dave
Yeah,
Chappelle's
I don't-
hilariously funny.
They handled it really well. They beat the heck out of the guy.
Oh,
but,
they broke his arm, it looks like, yeah.
Yeah, well,
They handled it really well. They hurt the guy.
Well, I mean, my biggest fear at the time would have been, is he alone?
I don't know.
Is
I
he
think
acting
Is he
alone?
just a distraction and the real guy's coming from the left?
Yeah.
Who knows? The redheaded stepchild that designed that assassination attempt. Just one. There was no extra person. It was just the one attacker.
Sounds like one of the redheaded stepchild's offensive plays.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
This
This is
tight
just-
end's he's a decoy.
I got an idea. Let's line up Zeke 21 feet behind the line of scrimmage.
Hey, they'll
Line him
never
up on the
suspect
goal
a
line.
thing.
Our goal line.
They'll never suspect a thing if he's 25 feet behind the line of scrimmage.
He would be 24, 25 feet, and he'd get a whole lot of speed.
Yep. Be like running downhill.
Yeah, but you can eat a sandwich while you're waiting for him to get to the line of
Yes, it
scrimmage.
was horrendous. I couldn't handle that play. I'd see him. Sometimes I had to drop the camera back to just get him in the screen because he'd be so far behind. You couldn't even. It was just ridiculous. And Dak would turn around and be holding the ball out, waiting for him to run onto the football. Defense will never.
They zoomed so far out you couldn't read their name.
You ain't fat, you ain't nothing.
And he's going to come in super fat this year.
That is actually the voice of Ezekiel Elliott.
You ain't fat, you ain't nothing.
He's down in Tijuana right now as we speak.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
That's how the Cowboys won the game.
And the Eagles could be tough. The Eagles will. They had a really good running game last year. they did really get some nice pieces. If they stay healthy, then that's been their biggest problem. The Eagles probably will win the division, but we'll see. The Giants. Where do the Giants look? The Giants are all in on what? Daniel Jones.
This is it, man. Last
year, this is it now. I mean, if they don't win this
year was it. This is
right. This is it. Okay, and if he goes down, a whole bunch of people in the Giant organization are going with him. So we'll see where that goes. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on that organization. The Jets, on the other hand, I mean, this could be one of those things where the Giants just have because the New York media could just be tearing that whole thing to pieces, while the Jets,
quietly go
quietly have a good season, and everybody's it could be an interesting year in Jetland up there.
Yeah, but let's be honest.
No, yeah, it's the Jets. Yeah, you're right. It's the Jets.
All right, we are running out of time.
Right.
So let's see. Let's go through 44-24. It looks like LA is the favorite to win that game in the PFL this week. And so what we're going to do is we're going to end it here. I think I hear a martini pouring. So that indicates it's time for me to go in.
Eat at least 3 of those.
We'll see y'all next week. Hey, this is the first time we've really gotten together to do a show on YouTube. There's going to be some growing pains, but we're going to get this thing down. So we'll see you next week.
Later.